All right, so we're going to do 11.5, and this is solving rational equations, and those are equations involving rational expressions. Example 1, I've got 1/2 plus 2 over x equals 1 over x. To solve this equation, just like any equation with fractions in it, you have to have a common denominator before you can do the operations with the fractions. So the easiest way to find a common denominator is to multiply the different denominators together. So these are the same already. And so you have two different denominators. You have an x and then you have a 2. So we're going to multiply x and 2 and we're going to get 2x. That's going to be my common denominator. To get 2x from 2, you've got to multiply by x. So you're going to multiply by x on the bottom and on the top. So what's 1 times x? It's x. Okay, to get the 2x out of the x up here, I've got to multiply by 2. So whatever I do to the bottom, I also have to do to the top. So now I'm going to have, now what I'm doing is I'm doing this and I'm bringing it down here. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then my x times 2 gave me my 2x. So you want to bring down your equal sign. And then I have to get 2x. I'm going to multiply by 2 in the top and the bottom. And I get 2 over 2x. I keep wanting to put 28. Okay, so on the left-hand side, I've got x plus 4. If they have a common denominator, you can combine them, just like adding fractions. So we get x plus 4 over 2x equals 2 over 2x. And if everything has the same denominator, you can eliminate the denominator. So since it's all over 3, if you multiply the whole thing, not 3, it's all over 2x. If you multiply the whole thing by 2x, the 2x's cancel, and you're left with x plus 4 equals 2. So what must x be if x plus 4 equals 2? It must be negative 2. So my solution is negative 2. Now you also have to check your answer. I'm going to erase a little piece of my work and I'm going to check my answer. And how do you check your answer to an equation? You plug it in. So it's going to be 1/2 plus 2 over negative 2 equals 1 over negative 2. So it's 1/2 plus negative 1 equals negative 1/2. And that is true. So I know my answer is correct. So my answer to my equation is x equals negative 2. All right, example 3. You have only one denominator, but 5 is a whole number. So what you need to do is put 5 over 1, and you need to have them all have a common denominator. So how do I turn 1 into p? You multiply it by p. So whatever you do the bottom, you have to do the top. Now I've got 5p over p plus 2p equals 17 over p. Now I showed you why earlier, and I'll show you why one more time. If they all have the same denominator, you can multiply the whole equation by the denominator, and it cancels all the denominators. So now you just have 5p plus 2 equals 17. In other words, if they all have, every single term in the whole equation has the same denominator, you can get rid of the denominator and just make an equation with the numerators. So now you just solve your equation, subtract 2, and you get 5p equals 15. So p must equal 3. Now it's not enough just to know that. Now you have to check your answer. So you get 5 plus 2 over 3 equals 17 over 3. Well, if you change 5 so it has a denominator of 3, you get 15 over 3. And 15 over 3 plus 2 over 3 is 17 over 3. So your answer is correct. Okay, example 3. It gets a little, now these could get a lot harder. So I'm going to make them a little more harder as we go. I've got one denominator here, x plus 3. And to help you out, you can put it in parentheses. Then I've got another denominator here that's x. And then I've got another denominator over here that wasn't there, but I had to make it be there. That's over 1. The reason I had to make it be there was so that they'd all be a fraction. Now, if you don't know what I could multiply x by 3 by to get x, or the other way around, the easiest thing to do is to multiply them together. So if I go over here to the side and do some scratch work, x times x plus 3, I get x squared plus 3x. This will be my new denominator. So what I want you to do is multiply x plus 3 times x. Whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. And then multiply the other ones by, multiply x by x plus 3. Whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. And then the 1, you have to multiply by the common denominator. So what you get is 8x over x squared plus 3x equals x plus 3 over x squared plus 3x plus x squared plus 3x over x squared plus 3x. Now, since they all have the same denominator, you can get rid of it, and you're left with 8x equals x plus 3 plus x squared plus 3x. And simplify. X plus 3x is 4x. Always put it in standard form. So I get 8x equals x squared plus 4x plus 3. Okay. Gotta set it equal to 0. So I get 0 equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. So what you're going to do is you're going to, once you get to that step, you are going to factor this to solve it. Just like we did when we were simplifying and we had to find the excluded value, you're going to ask yourself, you know, what multiplies to give you 3, but adds or subtracts to give you 4. And of course, it's going to be -3 and -1. And then look, to multiply two things to get 0, one or both of them has to be 0. So what can you plug in for x here to get 0? 3. What can you plug in for x here to get 0? 1. So your answers are 3 and 1. So then, of course, also you want to check your answer. So I'll do that in blue over here. My answers are 3 and 1. So if I plug in 3 and 1, I get 8 over 3 plus 3 equals 1 over 3 plus 1. 8/6 equals 1/3 plus 1. Well, I have to have a common denominator, we know. So 1/3 is really 2/6. And 1 is really 6/6, so that's right. Now, if I plug in the 1, I get 8 over 1 plus 3 equals 1 over 1 plus 1. So 8/4 equals 1 plus 1. Well, 8/4 is 2, so 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's true. So x does equal 3 and 1. All right, this one's actually easier. This is a proportion, so what you want to do is do the cross product. Put it in parentheses if you need to, and you are going to do the cross product. You know how to solve a proportion. So that's going to be 2 times 28p equals 7 times p plus 3. And we get 56p equals 7p plus 21. And you just solve it. So subtract 7p, and you get 49p equals 21. Divide by 49. So p is, 7 will go into both of those. 7 will go into 21 3 times. 7 will go into 49 7 times. So 3/7. All right, number 5 is also a proportion, and they both already have the same denominator. So you look up whenever they have the same denominator, and you can just get rid of them. So now you know that A equals 2. Now, if you really used your common sense, there's only one way that something over A plus 6 can be the same as 2 over A plus 6, and that is if A is 2. Okay? And you can check it if you want to. 2 over 8 equals 2 over 8. So there you go. All right, number 7 is also a proportion. You're going to find the cross product. And you get 8 equals t times t minus 2. So 8 equals t squared minus 2t. Now, when you have more than one variable term, like t squared and t, your first step is going to always be to try to solve for 0, which means you're going to move everything over, and you get 0 equals t squared minus 2t minus 8. Then you want to factor, because you know that if you can multiply two things, you'll know that one or both of them must be 0. All right, so you're going to factor what's going to multiply to give you 8, negative 8, but subtract to give you negative 2, and that's going to be negative 4 and positive 2. So if you've got these two factors and you get 0, one or both of them must be 0. The only way for this parentheses to be 0 is if t were 4, so that's one of my answers. And the only way for this parentheses to be 0 is if t is negative 2. So those are my two answers. Okay, if you have any questions, you know how to contact me. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow.